What if the greatest hero of Greek mythology, a man known for his cunning and bravery, found himself at the mercy of a god so powerful that even the seas trembled at his command? This is the story of Odysseus, the legendary king of Ithaca, and his relentless battle against Poseidon, the god of the sea. After angering Poseidon by blinding his son, the Cyclops Polyphemus, Odysseus faced a wrath so fierce that it turned his journey home into a decade-long nightmare. Storms, shipwrecks, and divine interference became his constant companions. But how did Odysseus, a mortal, finally appease the fury of a god? In this video, we'll unravel the epic tale of Odysseus' struggle against Poseidon's wrath, from his fateful encounter with Polyphemus to the pivotal moment when he made a sacrifice that changed his destiny. Along the way, we'll explore the key moments that defined his journey: his time on Calypso's island, his alliance with the Phaeacians, and the ultimate act that brought him peace with the sea god. Stay with us as we dive into this timeless story of resilience, divine power, and the lengths one man went to in order to find his way home. By the end, you'll not only understand how Odysseus appeased Poseidon, but also discover the deeper lessons his journey holds about perseverance, humility, and the human spirit. Let's begin. Now, let's step back to where it all began: Odysseus' early life and his pivotal role in the Trojan War. Born as the king of Ithaca, Odysseus was no ordinary man. Known for his sharp mind and unmatched cunning, he quickly became one of Greece's most celebrated heroes. But it was during the Trojan War that his brilliance truly shone, and his actions there would shape the course of his life in ways he could never have imagined. Odysseus' cleverness was on full display when he devised the infamous Trojan horse, a masterstroke of strategy that ultimately led to the fall of Troy. By hiding Greek soldiers inside a giant wooden horse, Odysseus tricked the Trojans into bringing the horse within their walls, sealing their defeat. This act of ingenuity earned him immense fame among mortals, but it also caught the attention of the gods, and not always in a good way. While his cleverness won him admiration, it also sowed the seeds of divine conflict. The gods, who often meddled in human affairs, took notice of Odysseus' resourcefulness. Some, like Athena, admired his wit and became his allies. Others, like Poseidon, viewed his actions with suspicion and resentment. This tension between Odysseus and the gods, particularly Poseidon, would later play a crucial role in his struggles. The Trojan War itself was a turning point for Odysseus. It was here that he first demonstrated his ability to outthink his enemies, but it was also where he began to attract the ire of powerful deities. His actions during the war, while heroic, were not without consequences. The gods, who often saw mortals as pawns in their divine games, began to take a closer interest in Odysseus, and not always for his benefit. As we move forward in the story, it's important to remember that Odysseus' early life and his role in the Trojan War set the stage for everything that followed. His cleverness brought him fame, but it also made him a target. The gods, especially Poseidon, would not forget his actions, and this divine attention would shape the trials he faced on his journey home. So, as we delve deeper into Odysseus' story, keep in mind how his past set the course for his future, a future filled with both triumph and torment. Now, as we turn the page to the next chapter of Odysseus' journey, we find ourselves in one of the most infamous episodes of his tale, the encounter with Polyphemus, the Cyclops. This moment would not only test Odysseus' cunning, but also ignite the wrath of Poseidon, setting the stage for years of hardship and struggle. After the fall of Troy, Odysseus and his men set sail for home, but their journey was far from smooth. Along the way, they stumbled upon the island of the Cyclopes, a race of one-eyed giants known for their brute strength and savage ways. Among them was Polyphemus, a particularly fearsome Cyclops, and, crucially, the son of Poseidon himself. When Odysseus and his crew entered Polyphemus' cave, they hoped to find hospitality. Instead, they found themselves trapped. Polyphemus, far from welcoming, saw the men as nothing more than a meal. One by one, he devoured Odysseus' crew, showing no mercy. Faced with this horrifying situation, Odysseus knew he had to act quickly and cleverly. Using his trademark ingenuity, Odysseus devised a plan. He offered Polyphemus wine, a gift that lulled the giant into a drunken stupor. Once Polyphemus was incapacitated, Odysseus and his men took a sharpened stake and drove it into the Cyclops' single eye, blinding him. The plan worked, and the men escaped by clinging to the undersides of Polyphemus' sheep as he let them out to graze. But here's where Odysseus' cleverness took a dangerous turn. As they sailed away, Odysseus couldn't resist taunting Polyphemus. He revealed his true identity, shouting, "If anyone asks who blinded you, tell them it was Odysseus, son of Laertes, king of Ithaca." This boastful act, while satisfying in the moment, would prove to be a grave mistake. Polyphemus, enraged and humiliated, called upon his father, Poseidon, to avenge him. He prayed for Odysseus to suffer, to never return home, or if he did, to arrive broken and alone. Poseidon, already wary of Odysseus' cunning, heard his son's plea and took it to heart. From that moment on, the sea god's wrath became a constant shadow over Odysseus' journey, turning the seas into a treacherous battlefield. This encounter with Polyphemus was more than just a clash with a monstrous foe, it was a turning point. Odysseus' decision to blind the Cyclops and mock him didn't just anger Polyphemus, it provoked the fury of Poseidon himself. This act of defiance set the tone for the trials that would follow, as Poseidon's vengeance became a driving force behind Odysseus' long and perilous journey home. As we move forward, it's important to see how this moment shaped Odysseus' fate. His cleverness saved his life, but his pride brought down the wrath of a god. This balance between triumph and folly would define much of his journey, reminding us that even the greatest heroes are not immune to the consequences of their actions. Now, as we shift our focus from Odysseus' fateful encounter with Polyphemus, let's take a closer look at the god who would become his greatest adversary, Poseidon. In Greek mythology, Poseidon was one of the most powerful and revered deities, ruling over the seas, storms, and earthquakes. Known as the Earth Shaker, his influence extended far beyond the waves, shaping the lives of mortals and gods alike. Poseidon's domain over the seas made him a figure of both awe and fear. Sailors and travelers would often pray to him for safe passage, knowing that his favor could mean calm waters and prosperous voyages. But his wrath was equally legendary. Poseidon was not a god to be trifled with. His temper was as unpredictable as the storms he commanded. When angered, he could summon hurricanes, shatter ships, and drown entire fleets without hesitation. This reputation for vengeance was not without reason. Poseidon's pride was immense, and any slight against him or his family was met with swift and severe retribution. As the father of Polyphemus, Poseidon took his son's blinding as a personal insult. Odysseus' taunts and boasts only deepened the offense, turning what might have been a minor grievance into a full-blown vendetta. What made Poseidon particularly formidable was not just his power, but his persistence. Unlike other gods who might punish mortals briefly before moving on, Poseidon's anger was relentless. He pursued Odysseus with a single-minded determination, ensuring that every step of the hero's journey was fraught with peril. From raging storms to monstrous sea creatures, Poseidon's influence was a constant threat, a reminder that no mortal could escape the wrath of the gods. Yet, Poseidon was not merely a force of destruction. He was also a god of creation, credited with shaping islands, raising mountains, and even gifting horses to humanity. This duality, his capacity for both creation and destruction, made him a complex and compelling figure in Greek mythology. For Odysseus, however, it was Poseidon's vengeful side that loomed largest, casting a shadow over his every attempt to return home. Understanding Poseidon's role in Greek mythology helps us grasp the enormity of Odysseus' challenge. To defy a god of such power and pride was to invite disaster, and yet, Odysseus' journey is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of divine opposition. As we continue, we'll see how Poseidon's wrath shaped the trials that lay ahead, and how Odysseus' struggle against the sea became a battle not just for survival, but for redemption. With Poseidon's wrath now fully ignited, Odysseus' journey home became a relentless battle against the fury of the sea. The god's vengeance was swift and unyielding, transforming what should have been a straightforward voyage into a harrowing ordeal. Almost immediately after leaving the island of the Cyclops, Odysseus and his crew found themselves at the mercy of Poseidon's storms. The once calm waters churned into a tempest, with towering waves crashing against their ship, threatening to tear it apart. The winds howled like a chorus of fury, and the sky darkened as if the sun itself had fled in fear. One of the most dramatic moments came when Poseidon unleashed a massive storm that shattered Odysseus' fleet. The hero's ships were tossed like toys in the raging sea, and one by one, they were swallowed by the waves. Only Odysseus' own vessel managed to survive, but even then, it was barely seaworthy. The crew, battered and terrified, clung to whatever they could as the storm raged on. This was no ordinary squall, it was a divine punishment, a clear message from Poseidon that no mortal could escape his wrath. But the storms were only the beginning. Poseidon's interference took many forms, each more perilous than the last. When Odysseus and his men reached the island of the Laestrygonians, they encountered a race of giant cannibals who destroyed all but one of their remaining ships. This devastating loss was yet another blow orchestrated by Poseidon, who seemed determined to strip Odysseus of every resource and ally. Perhaps the most iconic example of Poseidon's wrath came when Odysseus faced the monstrous sea creature Scylla. As his ship sailed through the narrow strait between Scylla and Charybdis, Poseidon's influence was unmistakable. The waters grew treacherous, and the crew was forced to navigate a deadly choice: risk being devoured by Scylla or sucked into the whirlpool of Charybdis. In the end, Odysseus lost 6 of his men to Scylla's jaws, a grim reminder of the gods' relentless pursuit. Even when Odysseus seemed to catch a break, Poseidon was never far behind. After surviving the island of the sun god Helios, where his men foolishly slaughtered sacred cattle, Odysseus found himself alone on a makeshift raft. But Poseidon, ever watchful, sent another storm to destroy it, leaving Odysseus stranded in the open sea. For days, he clung to a piece of wreckage, battered by waves and scorched by the sun, until he finally washed ashore on Calypso's island. These trials were not just physical challenges, they were tests of Odysseus' spirit. Poseidon's wrath forced him to confront his own mortality, his limitations, and his reliance on the gods. Each storm, each monster, and each loss served as a reminder that no matter how clever or resourceful Odysseus was, he was still a mortal at the mercy of divine power. As we move forward, we'll see how Odysseus' resilience and ingenuity allowed him to endure these trials, but it's important to recognize the sheer scale of Poseidon's vengeance. The sea god's wrath was not just a series of obstacles, it was a relentless force that shaped every step of Odysseus' journey, turning his quest for home into an epic struggle for survival. As the story unfolds, Odysseus' struggle against the sea becomes a testament to his unyielding determination. Despite Poseidon's relentless fury, Odysseus never surrendered to despair. His resilience was put to the ultimate test when Poseidon's storm struck with devastating force, shattering his fleet and leaving him adrift in the unforgiving waters. The once proud ships were reduced to splinters, and the cries of his men were swallowed by the roaring waves. Yet, even as the storm raged, Odysseus clung to hope, steering what remained of his vessel through the chaos with a steady hand and a sharp mind. One of the most harrowing moments came when Odysseus faced the aftermath of the shipwreck. Stranded on a makeshift raft, he battled not only the elements, but also the crushing weight of isolation. The sea, once a path to glory, had become a prison of endless horizons. Poseidon's storms seemed to mock his every effort, tossing him like a leaf in the wind. But Odysseus, ever resourceful, used his wits to survive. He lashed together pieces of wreckage, creating a fragile lifeline that kept him afloat. For days, he endured the scorching sun by day and the freezing winds by night, his body battered but his spirit unbroken. Even in the face of such overwhelming odds, Odysseus' ingenuity shone through. When Poseidon sent yet another storm to destroy his raft, Odysseus adapted. He used the currents to his advantage, navigating the treacherous waters with a mix of skill and sheer willpower. His ability to think on his feet and remain calm under pressure was a stark contrast to the chaos around him. This was not just a battle against the sea, it was a battle of wits, a clash between mortal ingenuity and divine wrath. The shipwreck was a turning point, a moment that revealed the depth of Odysseus' resilience. Stripped of his fleet, his crew, and even his dignity, he was forced to confront the limits of his strength. Yet, it was in this moment of utter vulnerability that Odysseus proved his true mettle. He refused to let Poseidon's fury break him, instead using every ounce of his cunning and courage to stay alive. As we follow Odysseus' journey, it's clear that his struggle against the sea was more than just a physical ordeal. It was a test of character, a trial that pushed him to the brink and revealed the core of who he was. Through every storm and every wave, Odysseus demonstrated that even in the face of divine retribution, the human spirit could endure. This relentless battle against the sea set the stage for the next chapter of Odysseus' journey, where his resilience would be tested in new and unexpected ways. But for now, his survival against Poseidon's wrath stands as a powerful reminder of the strength that lies within us all, even when the odds seem insurmountable. As Odysseus fought against the relentless fury of Poseidon, he was not entirely alone in his struggle. The gods of Mount Olympus, with their own agendas and rivalries, played a crucial role in shaping his fate. Among them, Athena, the goddess of wisdom and warfare, emerged as Odysseus' most steadfast ally. From the very beginning, Athena admired Odysseus for his cunning and resourcefulness, qualities that mirrored her own. She saw in him a kindred spirit, a mortal whose intellect and determination could rival even the gods. Throughout his journey, Athena subtly guided Odysseus, offering him wisdom and inspiration when he needed it most. Her interventions were often indirect, such as whispering ideas into his mind or influencing the actions of others to aid him. Yet, her support was unwavering, a testament to her belief in his potential to overcome the trials set before him. However, the divine politics of Olympus were far from simple. while Athena championed Odysseus, Zeus, the king of the gods, had to balance the competing interests of the deities. Poseidon's wrath was not something Zeus could easily dismiss, as the sea god's power and influence were immense. Zeus respected Poseidon's authority over the seas and understood the gravity of Odysseus' offense against him. Yet, Zeus also recognized the importance of justice and the need to uphold the balance of divine will. At times, Zeus intervened to temper Poseidon's anger, ensuring that Odysseus' punishment did not exceed the bounds of fairness. This delicate dance of divine diplomacy often left Odysseus caught in the middle, his fate hanging in the balance as the gods negotiated their conflicting desires. Other gods also played their parts, sometimes aiding Odysseus and other times complicating his journey. Hermes, the messenger god, was sent by Zeus to deliver crucial messages, such as the order for Calypso to release Odysseus from her island. Hermes' role was pivotal, as it marked a turning point in Odysseus' journey, allowing him to resume his quest for home. On the other hand, gods like Helios, the sun god, brought further challenges. When Odysseus' men slaughtered Helios' sacred cattle, the sun god's anger led to yet another disaster, further delaying Odysseus' return. These divine interventions, whether helpful or harmful, underscored the complexity of Odysseus' journey and the intricate web of relationships among the gods. The interplay between the gods reveals a deeper truth about Odysseus' story. His fate was not solely in his own hands. While his intelligence and resilience were vital, the whims and conflicts of the gods often determined the course of his journey. This divine interference highlights the precarious position of mortals in Greek mythology, subject to the will of beings far more powerful than themselves. Yet, it also emphasizes the importance of alliances and the role of divine favor in overcoming seemingly insurmountable odds. As we delve deeper into Odysseus' journey, it becomes clear that his struggle was not just against the sea or the monsters he encountered. It was also a battle waged in the halls of Olympus, where gods debated his fate and shaped his destiny. This intricate dance of divine politics adds another layer of complexity to his story, reminding us that even the greatest heroes are not entirely masters of their own fates. With the gods' influence shaping every twist and turn of his journey, Odysseus' path forward remained uncertain. Yet, as we'll soon see, his resilience and resourcefulness would continue to shine, even as the gods themselves watched and waited to see how his story would unfold. As the stormy seas calmed and the winds shifted, Odysseus found himself washed ashore on an island unlike any he had encountered before. This was Ogygia, the hidden realm of Calypso, a nymph of extraordinary beauty and power. Stranded and exhausted, Odysseus had no way of knowing that this island would become both his prison and his sanctuary for the next 7 years. Calypso, enchanted by the mortal hero, welcomed Odysseus with open arms. She offered him shelter, food, and even the promise of immortality if he would stay with her forever. For a man who had endured so much shipwrecks, monsters, and the relentless wrath of Poseidon, this island seemed like a paradise. The lush greenery, the soothing sounds of the waves, and Calypso's companionship provided a temporary escape from the hardships of his journey. Yet, beneath the surface of this idyllic existence lay a deeper truth. Odysseus' time on Ogygia was not just a reprieve, it was also a form of divine punishment. Poseidon, still furious over the blinding of his son Polyphemus, had orchestrated Odysseus' arrival on the island as part of his vengeance. By trapping Odysseus far from home, Poseidon ensured that the hero would suffer the agony of separation from his family and kingdom. For Odysseus, these years were a bittersweet ordeal. On one hand, he was safe from the dangers of the sea and the wrath of Poseidon. Calypso's island offered him a chance to heal, both physically and emotionally, from the trials he had endured. On the other hand, he was tormented by the knowledge that every day spent on Ogygia was another day lost in his quest to return to Ithaca. The promise of immortality meant little to a man whose heart ached for his wife, Penelope, and his son, Telemachus. Calypso, though kind and loving, could not fill the void left by Odysseus longing for home. Her attempts to make him forget his past only deepened his resolve. Each night, as he gazed out at the endless sea, Odysseus dreamed of Ithaca and the life he had left behind. This internal struggle between the comfort of the present and the pull of the past defined his years on the island. In many ways, Calypso's island served as a microcosm of Odysseus' larger journey. It was a place of contradictions, where beauty and suffering coexisted, and where the line between punishment and salvation blurred. For Poseidon, it was a way to prolong Odysseus' torment. For Odysseus, it was a test of his resilience and his unwavering commitment to his ultimate goal. As the years passed, Odysseus' determination never wavered. He remained steadfast in his desire to return home, even as the gods debated his fate. This period of captivity, though marked by hardship, also revealed the depth of Odysseus' character. It was here, on Calypso's island, that he proved once again that no amount of divine interference could break his spirit. And so, as the tides of fate began to shift once more, Odysseus prepared to leave the island that had been both his refuge and his prison. Little did he know that his departure would mark the beginning of the final chapter in his long and arduous journey home. As Odysseus' time on Calypso's island stretched into years, the nymph's role in his journey became increasingly complex. Calypso, though a figure of immense beauty and power, was more than just a captor. She was a symbol of temptation, offering Odysseus a life free from the hardships of his past. Her love for him was genuine, and she went to great lengths to make him forget his longing for Ithaca. She offered him immortality, a gift few mortals could resist, and surrounded him with comforts that seemed to erase the pain of his trials. Yet, for Odysseus, these gifts came at a cost. Calypso's influence was both a blessing and a curse. On one hand, she provided him with a sanctuary, a place to recover from the physical and emotional scars of his journey. Her island was a haven where he could rest, far from the storms and monsters that had plagued him. On the other hand, her love became a barrier to his ultimate goal. Every day spent with Calypso was a day further from Penelope and Telemachus, a day lost in his quest to return home. This tension between the comfort of the present and the pull of the past defined Odysseus' time on the island. The moral challenges Odysseus faced were profound. Calypso's offer of immortality forced him to confront what he truly valued. Was it eternal life, free from pain and suffering, or the fleeting, imperfect love of his mortal family? Odysseus' choice to reject immortality was a testament to his character. It revealed his unwavering loyalty to Penelope and his commitment to the life he had built in Ithaca. This decision was not made lightly. It required immense strength and resolve, especially in the face of Calypso's persistent efforts to sway him. Emotionally, Odysseus' time on the island was a test of endurance. Calypso's love, though sincere, could not fill the void left by his longing for home. Each night, as he stood on the shore and gazed out at the endless sea, he was reminded of the life he had lost. The island, with its lush beauty and tranquil surroundings, became a gilded cage. Odysseus' internal struggle between gratitude for Calypso's kindness and his burning desire to return to Ithaca was a constant source of torment. Calypso's role in Odysseus' journey was not just that of a captor or a lover. She was a mirror, reflecting the hero's deepest desires and fears. Through her, Odysseus was forced to confront the true cost of his choices. Her island was a place of contradictions, where comfort and suffering coexisted, and where the line between punishment and salvation blurred. For Poseidon, it was a way to prolong Odysseus' torment. For Odysseus, it was a crucible that tested his resilience and reaffirmed his commitment to his ultimate goal. As the years passed, Odysseus' resolve never wavered. He remained steadfast in his determination to return home, even as Calypso's love and the comforts of the island tempted him to stay. This period of captivity, though marked by hardship, revealed the depth of Odysseus' character. It was here, on Calypso's island, that he proved once again that no amount of divine interference could break his spirit. And so, as the tides of fate began to shift once more, Odysseus prepared to leave the island that had been both his refuge and his prison. Little did he know that his departure would mark the beginning of the final chapter in his long and arduous journey home. As the winds of fate began to shift, the gods themselves took notice of Odysseus' plight. High on Mount Olympus, Zeus, the king of the gods, decided it was time to intervene. He called upon Hermes, the swift-footed messenger of the gods, to deliver a crucial message to Calypso. Hermes, known for his ability to traverse the realms of gods and mortals with ease, descended to the nymphs' island with a command that would change the course of Odysseus' journey. Hermes' arrival on Calypso's island was a moment of divine reckoning. With his golden sandals and winged staff, he stood before Calypso, delivering Zeus' decree with both authority and grace. The message was clear: Odysseus was to be released. Calypso, though powerful in her own right, could not defy the will of Zeus. This intervention marked a turning point, not just for Odysseus, but for the balance of power among the gods. The significance of Hermes' role in this moment cannot be overstated. As the messenger of the gods, he was a bridge between the divine and mortal worlds. His presence on the island symbolized the gods' acknowledgement of Odysseus' suffering and their decision to bring an end to his prolonged captivity. For Calypso, it was a moment of reckoning. She had grown to love Odysseus, and the thought of losing him was a bitter pill to swallow. Yet, she knew that defying Zeus was not an option. This divine intervention had profound implications for Odysseus' relationship with Poseidon. While Poseidon's wrath had been the driving force behind Odysseus' trials, Zeus' decision to intervene signaled a shift in the divine dynamics. It was a reminder that even the most powerful gods were subject to the will of Zeus. By ordering Odysseus' release, Zeus was subtly asserting his authority over Poseidon, ensuring that the sea god's vendetta did not overstep its bounds. For Odysseus, Hermes' arrival was a glimmer of hope. After years of longing and despair, the prospect of finally leaving Calypso's island reignited his determination to return home. Yet, this moment was not without its challenges. Calypso, though bound by Zeus' command, did not let Odysseus go without a final plea. She reminded him of the life they could have shared, the immortality she had offered, and the peace he would leave behind. But Odysseus, ever steadfast, remained resolute. His heart belonged to Ithaca, and no amount of divine temptation could sway him. The intervention of Hermes was more than just a plot twist in Odysseus' journey. It was a testament to the intricate web of divine politics that shaped his fate. It highlighted the delicate balance of power among the gods and the ways in which their decisions influenced the lives of mortals. For Poseidon, it was a reminder that even his immense power had limits. For Odysseus, it was the first step toward reclaiming his destiny. As Hermes departed, leaving Calypso to fulfill Zeus' command, Odysseus prepared to set sail once more. The winds of change were blowing, and though the sea still held dangers, the path home was finally within reach. This moment of divine intervention not only altered the course of Odysseus' journey, but also set the stage for the final acts of his epic struggle against the forces that sought to keep him from Ithaca. As the time came for Odysseus to leave Calypso's island, the air was thick with a mix of relief and sorrow. Calypso, though bound by Zeus' command, could not hide her heartbreak. She had offered Odysseus immortality, a life free from the struggles of mortals, and yet he chose the uncertain path back to Ithaca. Her final words to him were filled with both love and bitterness, a reminder of the life he was leaving behind. For Odysseus, this farewell was bittersweet. While he longed for home, he could not ignore the kindness Calypso had shown him during his years of captivity. With a heavy heart, Odysseus prepared to set sail once more. Calypso, true to her word, provided him with the tools he needed: a sturdy raft, provisions for the journey, and favorable winds to guide him. Yet, as he pushed off from the shore, he knew the challenges ahead were far from over. The sea, still ruled by Poseidon, remained a treacherous domain. The god of the ocean had not forgotten his grudge, and Odysseus' departure only reignited his fury. As Odysseus ventured into the open waters, the skies darkened, and the waves grew restless. Poseidon's wrath was immediate and unrelenting. A violent storm erupted, tossing Odysseus' raft like a leaf in a tempest. The once calm sea became a churning abyss, threatening to swallow him whole. Odysseus, battered and exhausted, clung to the remnants of his raft, his determination tested once again. This moment was a stark reminder of the power Poseidon wielded. The sea god's anger was not just a force of nature, but a personal vendetta against the man who had blinded his son, Polyphemus. Every wave, every gust of wind seemed to carry Poseidon's voice, a relentless reminder of the price Odysseus had to pay for his past actions. Yet, even in the face of such overwhelming odds, Odysseus refused to surrender. His resilience, honed through years of hardship, shone through as he fought to stay afloat. The challenges Odysseus faced as he left Calypso's island were not just physical but deeply emotional. The thought of Penelope, his wife, waiting for him in Ithaca, fueled his resolve. He had endured so much years of war, the loss of his comrades, and the torment of the gods, and he was determined to see his journey through to the end. This renewed sense of purpose gave him the strength to face Poseidon's wrath head-on. As the storm raged on, Odysseus' mind turned to the lessons he had learned during his time with Calypso. Her offer of immortality had been tempting, but it was not the life he wanted. He was a mortal, bound to the struggles and triumphs of the human experience. This realization only deepened his resolve to return home, no matter the cost. The departure from Calypso's island marked a pivotal moment in Odysseus' journey. It was a testament to his unwavering determination and his ability to endure even the harshest trials. Yet, as he sailed further into the storm, it was clear that Poseidon's wrath was far from spent. The sea god's watchful eye followed Odysseus' every move, a constant reminder that the path to Ithaca would be fraught with peril. With the winds howling and the waves crashing around him, Odysseus pressed on, his sights set on the distant horizon. The challenges ahead were immense, but so too was his resolve. This was not just a journey across the sea. It was a battle against the forces that sought to keep him from his destiny. And as the storm raged on, Odysseus knew that his greatest trials were yet to come. As Odysseus sailed further from Calypso's island, the sea itself seemed to awaken with a renewed fury. Poseidon, ever watchful, had not forgotten the man who had blinded his son, Polyphemus. The moment Odysseus left the safety of Calypso's shores, the god's wrath surged like a tidal wave, determined to make the mortal pay for his defiance. The once favorable winds turned treacherous, and the calm waters transformed into a raging tempest. It was as if the ocean itself had become an extension of Poseidon's anger, a living force bent on breaking Odysseus' spirit. For Odysseus, this was more than just another storm. It was a relentless reminder of the gods' unyielding vendetta. Each crashing wave felt like a personal blow, each gust of wind a taunt from the divine. The psychological toll was immense. Odysseus, already weary from years of hardship, now faced the crushing weight of knowing that no matter how far he sailed, Poseidon's wrath would follow. The sea, which had once been a path to adventure and glory, had become a prison of endless trials. His crew, though long lost to the perils of their journey, would have shared in this despair had they been there. The isolation of facing Poseidon's fury alone only deepened Odysseus' sense of vulnerability. He was a man accustomed to leading others, to finding solutions in the face of impossible odds. But now, with no one to rally or protect, he was left to confront the storm with nothing but his own resolve. The loneliness was as much a burden as the physical strain of battling the elements. Yet, even in the midst of this turmoil, Odysseus' mind remained sharp. He knew that Poseidon's anger was not just a test of his strength, but of his will. The sea god sought to break him, to force him to abandon his quest and accept defeat. But Odysseus, ever the strategist, understood that survival was as much about mental fortitude as it was about physical endurance. He drew on every lesson he had learned, every hardship he had overcome, to keep himself afloat both literally and figuratively. The storm raged on, a chaotic symphony of wind and water that seemed to stretch time itself. Hours felt like days, and every moment was a battle against exhaustion and despair. But Odysseus, driven by the memory of Penelope and the promise of home, refused to yield. He clung to the hope that, no matter how fierce Poseidon's wrath, he would find a way to endure. This chapter of Odysseus' journey was not just a physical trial, but a profound test of his character. The psychological strain of facing Poseidon's relentless fury revealed the depth of his resilience. It was a reminder that the greatest battles are often fought within, against doubt and despair. And as the storm continued to rage, Odysseus' determination only grew stronger, a testament to the unyielding spirit of a man who refused to be broken by the gods themselves. With each passing moment, the horizon seemed to mock him, a distant promise that felt just out of reach. But Odysseus, battered yet unbroken, pressed on. The wrath of Poseidon was far from over, but so too was Odysseus' resolve. The sea might test him, but it would not claim him, not yet. As the storm finally began to subside, Odysseus found himself washed ashore on an unfamiliar land, battered and exhausted but alive. This was Phaeacia, a place of refuge that would prove to be a turning point in his long and arduous journey. The Phaeacians, known for their kindness and hospitality, welcomed the weary traveler with open arms. For Odysseus, this was more than just a moment of rest. It was a chance to regroup, to gather his strength, and to reflect on the trials that had brought him here. The Phaeacians' generosity was unlike anything Odysseus had encountered in years. They offered him food, shelter, and, most importantly, a sense of safety. After enduring Poseidon's relentless fury, the calm and comfort of Phaeacia felt almost surreal. It was as if the gods themselves had granted him a brief reprieve, a moment to catch his breath before the final leg of his journey. But this hospitality was not just about physical recovery. It was also a chance for Odysseus to share his story. As he sat among the Phaeacians, he began to recount his adventures, the Trojan War, the blinding of Polyphemus, the trials at sea, and the years spent on Calypso's island. This act of storytelling was more than just a way to pass the time. It was a form of catharsis, a way for Odysseus to process the hardships he had endured and to make sense of the divine forces that had shaped his fate. The Phaeacians listened intently, moved by Odysseus' tale of perseverance and resilience. Their willingness to help him was not just an act of kindness, but a recognition of his humanity. In a world where gods and mortals often clashed, the Phaeacians saw in Odysseus a man who had fought against impossible odds and refused to give up. Their decision to aid him in his journey home was a testament to the power of empathy and the bonds that connect us all, even in the face of divine wrath. For Odysseus, this moment was a turning point. The hospitality of the Phaeacians restored his faith in the possibility of kindness and cooperation, even in a world dominated by the whims of the gods. It was a reminder that, despite Poseidon's anger, there were still forces of goodwill that could help him overcome the challenges ahead. As he prepared to leave Phaeacia, Odysseus felt a renewed sense of purpose. The journey home was far from over, but he now had allies who believed in his cause. The Phaeacians' support marked a shift in his quest to appease Poseidon, a sign that even the most relentless divine wrath could be tempered by human compassion. With their help, Odysseus set sail once more, determined to face whatever trials lay ahead and to finally find his way back to Ithaca. The Phaeacians were more than just a safe haven. For Odysseus, they were the key to his eventual return to Ithaca. Known in Greek mythology as skilled sailors and generous hosts, the Phaeacians held a unique place in the ancient world. Their island, Scheria, was often described as a place of abundance and harmony, a stark contrast to the chaos Odysseus had faced at sea. This made their decision to help him all the more significant, as it symbolized a bridge between the mortal and divine realms. In helping Odysseus, the Phaeacians demonstrated a deep understanding of the balance between human effort and divine will. Their ships, said to be guided by the gods themselves, were unmatched in speed and precision. This made them the perfect allies for Odysseus, who needed not just physical assistance, but also a way to navigate the treacherous waters still under Poseidon's watch. By offering him passage home, the Phaeacians took on a role that went beyond mere hospitality. They became active participants in his quest to overcome the sea god's wrath. Culturally, the Phaeacians represented an ideal of civilization and order. Their society was built on principles of fairness, respect for guests, and a reverence for the gods. This made their decision to aid Odysseus a reflection of their values, as they recognized his suffering and sought to restore balance to his life. In doing so, they also fulfilled a larger mythological role, acting as intermediaries between the mortal and divine worlds. Their actions showed that even in a world ruled by capricious gods, human compassion and cooperation could still prevail. For Odysseus, the Phaeacians' assistance was a turning point. Their ships carried him closer to Ithaca than he had been in years, and their belief in his cause gave him the strength to face the final challenges ahead. But their help came at a cost. Poseidon, still furious over Odysseus' actions, would later punish the Phaeacians for aiding his enemy, turning their ship to stone as a warning to others. This act underscored the risks they had taken and highlighted the tension between mortal kindness and divine retribution. The Phaeacians' role in Odysseus' journey reminds us of the power of empathy and the importance of standing by those in need, even in the face of great danger. Their story is a testament to the enduring human spirit, showing that even in a world shaped by the whims of the gods, acts of kindness and courage can leave a lasting impact. As Odysseus sailed closer to Ithaca, he carried with him not just the hope of returning home, but also the memory of those who had helped him along the way. With the Phaeacians' support, Odysseus was now one step closer to his ultimate goal, but the journey was far from over, and the challenges ahead would test his resolve like never before. As Odysseus stood before the Phaeacians, he began to weave a tale that was as much a confession as it was a plea for understanding. His words carried the weight of years of suffering, and his story unfolded like a map of his trials, each chapter revealing the depth of his struggles and the complexity of his relationship with the gods. Odysseus began with his departure from Troy, recounting the storms and misfortunes that had plagued his journey from the very start. He spoke of the Cyclops, Polyphemus, and how his decision to blind the monstrous son of Poseidon had set the sea god against him. This moment, he admitted, was the turning point that had sealed his fate, a choice born of desperation that had cost him dearly. As he continued, Odysseus described his encounters with the Lotus Eaters, the sorceress Circe, and the treacherous Sirens. Each story was a testament to his cunning and resilience, but also a reminder of the divine forces that had conspired against him. He spoke of the underworld, where he had sought guidance from the prophet Tiresias, and how the seer had warned him of Poseidon's unrelenting anger. Odysseus' storytelling was not just a recounting of events, it was a way to make sense of his suffering. By sharing his journey with the Phaeacians, he was also seeking their empathy and support. His tale was a confession of his mistakes, a recognition of the consequences of his actions, and a plea for understanding from those who could help him find his way home. The Phaeacians listened intently, moved by the depth of his experiences and the honesty of his words. For them, Odysseus' story was more than just a series of adventures. It was a window into the struggles of a man caught between the will of the gods and his own desire to survive. His tale resonated with their values of hospitality and compassion, and it deepened their resolve to aid him in his quest. Through his storytelling, Odysseus not only revealed the truth of his journey, but also laid bare his humanity. He showed that even a hero could be vulnerable, that even the cleverest of men could be brought low by the whims of the divine. His words were a bridge between his past and his future, a way to reconcile his actions and seek redemption. As Odysseus finished his tale, the Phaeacians were left with a profound sense of respect for the man before them. They understood that his journey was not just a physical one, but a spiritual and emotional odyssey as well. His story had touched them deeply, and it solidified their decision to help him return to Ithaca, no matter the risks. With his tale told, Odysseus had taken another step toward appeasing Poseidon. His honesty and vulnerability had won him allies, and his story had become a powerful tool in his quest for redemption. But the challenges ahead were far from over, and the sea god's wrath still loomed large over his journey. As Odysseus' tale came to an end, the Phaeacians found themselves at a crossroads. The story of his trials had stirred something deep within them, a sense of duty, compassion, and perhaps even a touch of divine inspiration. Their decision to help Odysseus was not made lightly, for they knew the risks involved. Poseidon's wrath was no small matter, and aiding a man who had angered the sea god could bring dire consequences. Yet, despite the danger, they chose to stand by Odysseus. The Phaeacians were a people deeply rooted in the values of hospitality and honor. To them, turning away a weary traveler in need was unthinkable, a violation of their most sacred principles. Odysseus' story had revealed not just his suffering, but also his humanity, and it resonated with their own understanding of what it meant to be noble and just. They saw in him not just a hero, but a man who had endured unimaginable hardships and was striving to make amends for his past mistakes. But their decision was not solely based on moral grounds. The Phaeacians were also keenly aware of the divine forces at play. They understood that the gods often tested mortals, and that aiding Odysseus might align them with the will of other deities, such as Athena, who had long supported the hero. By helping Odysseus, they were not just defying Poseidon, they were also placing their trust in the broader balance of divine justice. It was a gamble, but one they believed was worth taking. There was also an element of pride in their choice. The Phaeacians were known for their seafaring prowess and their ability to navigate even the most treacherous waters. Assisting Odysseus was a chance to demonstrate their skill and courage, to prove that they could outwit even the wrath of a god. It was a bold statement of their own strength and resilience, a testament to their belief in their ability to overcome any challenge. Yet, beneath their confidence lay a quiet acknowledgement of the risks. They knew that Poseidon's anger was not to be taken lightly, and that their actions could bring his fury upon their own shores. But they also believed that their decision was guided by a higher purpose, one that transcended the immediate dangers. By helping Odysseus, they were upholding the values that defined them as a people, and in doing so, they were affirming their place in the cosmic order. In the end, the Phaeacians' choice to aid Odysseus was a reflection of their own character, a blend of courage, compassion, and faith in the will of the gods. It was a decision that carried both moral and divine weight, one that would shape not only Odysseus' fate, but also their own legacy. As they prepared to send him on his way, they did so with a sense of purpose, knowing that their actions would echo far beyond the shores of their island. With their support secured, Odysseus was one step closer to his ultimate goal, but the journey ahead remained fraught with peril, and the shadow of Poseidon's wrath still loomed large. The Phaeacians had taken a bold stand, but the true test of their decision and of Odysseus' quest for redemption was yet to come. With the Phaeacians' unwavering support, Odysseus set sail once more, this time with the promise of home within reach. Their swift ship cut through the waves, guided by the skill of their sailors and the favor of the gods who had not abandoned him. As Ithaca's shores came into view, Odysseus felt a surge of emotions, relief, joy, and a lingering caution. He had been away for 20 long years, and the land before him was both familiar and foreign. The Phaeacians had fulfilled their promise, delivering him safely to the place he had fought so hard to return to. This moment was more than just a homecoming. It was a turning point in Odysseus' struggle against Poseidon's wrath. The sea god's fury had haunted him for years, turning every wave into a threat and every journey into a battle for survival. But now, as he stepped onto the soil of Ithaca, Odysseus could sense a shift. The Phaeacians' intervention had not only brought him home, but had also begun to tip the scales in his favor. Their act of defiance against Poseidon's will had shown that even the mightiest of gods could be challenged, and that mortal courage and compassion could carve a path through divine anger. Yet, Odysseus knew better than to let his guard down. Poseidon's wrath was not easily appeased, and the sea god's influence still lingered in the air. The Phaeacians' ship, now departing, would soon face the consequences of their choice. a reminder that the gods' retribution was swift and unyielding. But for Odysseus, this was a moment of quiet triumph. He had survived the storms, the monsters, and the temptations that had sought to keep him from his home. And now, standing on the shores of Ithaca, he was one step closer to reclaiming his life and his kingdom. The Phaeacians' role in this pivotal moment cannot be overstated. Without their courage and generosity, Odysseus might never have reached Ithaca. Their decision to aid him, despite the risks, had not only saved his life, but had also set in motion the events that would ultimately lead to the resolution of his conflict with Poseidon. It was a testament to the power of human kindness and the belief that even in the face of divine wrath, mortals could make choices that shaped their own destinies. As Odysseus gazed at the familiar hills and valleys of Ithaca, he knew that his journey was far from over. The challenges ahead, reclaiming his throne, reuniting with his family, and facing the suitors who had overrun his home, would test him in new ways. But for the first time in years, he felt a glimmer of hope. The Phaeacians had given him more than just a ride home. They had given him a chance to begin anew, to prove that even after years of suffering, he could still find his way back to the life he had fought so hard to protect. This moment marked the beginning of the end of Poseidon's wrath. While the sea god's anger still loomed, Odysseus returned to Ithaca, signaled that his trials were nearing their conclusion. The Phaeacians' bold act had set the stage for the final chapter of his journey, one where he would not only confront the challenges of his mortal world, but also seek to make peace with the divine forces that had shaped his fate. The road ahead was uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, Odysseus could see a path forward, one that led not just to his home, but to redemption. As Odysseus took his first steps on the shores of Ithaca, the Phaeacians' ship began its journey back to their homeland, unaware of the storm brewing in the heart of Poseidon. The sea god, furious at their defiance, decided to make an example of them. With a single, thunderous command, he struck their ship, turning it to stone as it approached their harbor. The once proud vessel, a symbol of their skill and generosity, was now a lifeless monument to Poseidon's wrath. This act was not just a punishment, it was a warning to all mortals who dared to challenge the will of the gods. The transformation of the ship into stone carries deep symbolism. It represents the fragility of human efforts in the face of divine power. The Phaeacians, who had risked everything to help Odysseus, were now reminded of the limits of their influence. Their act of kindness, though noble, could not shield them from the consequences of defying Poseidon. This moment also underscores the theme of sacrifice that runs through Odysseus' journey. The Phaeacians' loss was a necessary price for Odysseus' return, a reminder that every victory comes at a cost. For Odysseus, this act of vengeance had a profound impact. While he had finally reached Ithaca, the fate of the Phaeacians served as a stark reminder that his struggle with Poseidon was far from over. The sea god's wrath still loomed, and Odysseus knew that his journey would not truly end until he had made amends. The stone ship became a symbol of the lingering tension between mortals and gods, a tension that Odysseus would need to resolve if he hoped to find lasting peace. This moment also highlights the complexity of divine justice in Greek mythology. Poseidon's punishment was swift and unyielding, but it was not without purpose. It reinforced the idea that the gods' power was absolute and that their will could not be ignored. Yet, it also showed that even in their anger, the gods could be moved by mortal actions. The Phaeacians' bravery had not gone unnoticed, and their sacrifice played a crucial role in Odysseus' eventual reconciliation with Poseidon. As Odysseus prepared to face the challenges awaiting him in Ithaca, the image of the stone ship lingered in his mind. It was a reminder of the cost of his journey and the sacrifices made by those who had helped him along the way, but it was also a symbol of hope. The Phaeacians' act of defiance had shown that even in the face of divine wrath, mortals could make choices that shaped their destinies. And now, as Odysseus stood on the brink of reclaiming his life, he knew that his own choices would determine whether he could finally bring an end to the cycle of vengeance and find peace. With the Phaeacians' fate fresh in his thoughts, Odysseus turned his attention to the challenges ahead. The road to redemption was still long, but the lessons of his journey, of sacrifice, resilience, and the power of human kindness would guide him as he sought to make amends with the gods and reclaim his place in the world. As Odysseus stepped into the familiar halls of his palace, the weight of his journey seemed to lift, if only for a moment. The air was thick with tension, but also with the promise of a long-awaited reunion. Penelope, his wife, had waited for him for 20 years, her loyalty unwavering despite the countless suitors who had tried to claim her hand. Her perseverance mirrored his own, a testament to the strength of their bond. Their reunion was not just a moment of joy, it was a culmination of everything Odysseus had endured. The trials imposed by Poseidon, the years of separation, and the constant threat of danger had all been leading to this. When Penelope finally recognized him, her tears were not just of relief but of triumph. Together, they had defied the odds, proving that loyalty and perseverance could withstand even the wrath of the gods. This moment also highlighted the deeper themes of Odysseus' journey. Penelope's steadfastness was a reflection of his own resilience. While he had battled monsters and gods, she had faced her own trials, holding their home together in his absence. Their reunion symbolized not just the end of Odysseus' physical journey, but the restoration of balance in their lives. It was a reminder that true victory is not just about overcoming external challenges, but about preserving the bonds that give life meaning. As they embraced, the echoes of Poseidon's wrath seemed to fade. The sea god's fury had tested Odysseus in ways no mortal could have imagined, but it had also revealed the strength of his character. Penelope's loyalty had been his anchor, a constant reminder of what he was fighting for. And now, as they stood together, it was clear that their love had been the ultimate force against the chaos of the gods. This reunion was more than a personal triumph. It was a statement about the power of human connection. In a world where the gods often seemed capricious and cruel, Odysseus and Penelope's story showed that loyalty and perseverance could prevail. Their bond had withstood the test of time and the whims of the divine, proving that even in the face of overwhelming odds, the human spirit could endure. With Penelope by his side, Odysseus felt a renewed sense of purpose. The challenges ahead, reclaiming his throne and restoring order to Ithaca, were daunting, but they no longer seemed insurmountable. Together, they would face whatever came next, their shared strength a beacon of hope in a world shaped by the will of the gods. As the echoes of their reunion filled the palace, it was clear that Odysseus' journey was not just about survival or victory. It was about finding his way back to what truly mattered, and in Penelope's embrace, he had finally found the peace he had been searching for. With the trials of the sea behind him and the love of his wife beside him, Odysseus turned his gaze to the future. The road ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Together, they would face it with the same loyalty and perseverance that had brought them this far. As Odysseus and Penelope stood united, ready to reclaim their home, another force was quietly at work behind the scenes: Athena, the goddess of wisdom and warfare. While Poseidon's wrath had been a constant storm in Odysseus' life, Athena's support had been a steady guiding light, helping him navigate the chaos. Her role in his victory was as crucial as his own cunning and resilience. Athena had been Odysseus' ally from the very beginning. She admired his intelligence and resourcefulness, qualities that mirrored her own. Throughout his journey, she had intervened at critical moments, offering advice, disguises, and even divine protection. But her most significant contribution came during his final confrontation with the suitors who had overrun his palace. When Odysseus returned to Ithaca, he found his home in disarray. The suitors, believing him dead, had been exploiting his absence, consuming his resources and pressuring Penelope to remarry. It was a situation that demanded not just strength, but strategy. Athena, ever the tactician, stepped in to ensure Odysseus' success. She disguised him as a beggar, allowing him to assess the situation without revealing his true identity. This disguise was more than a clever trick. It was a test of Odysseus' patience and wisdom, qualities Athena valued deeply. As the tension in the palace reached its peak, Athena's presence became even more pronounced. She bolstered Odysseus' courage, sharpened his mind, and even enhanced his physical strength when the time came to face the suitors. In the climactic battle, she ensured that his arrows found their marks and that his enemies' weapons missed theirs. Her support was not just about giving him an advantage, it was about restoring justice and order to Ithaca. Athena's aid also played a key role in Odysseus' efforts to appease Poseidon. While the sea god's anger had been a driving force behind Odysseus' trials, Athena's interventions helped balance the scales. Her wisdom guided Odysseus toward actions that would ultimately lead to reconciliation with Poseidon. For instance, it was Athena who advised Odysseus to seek the prophecy of Tyreus, which revealed the necessity of making a sacrifice to Poseidon. Her guidance ensured that Odysseus' journey was not just about survival, but about achieving a deeper understanding of the god's will. In the end, Athena's support was a testament to the power of wisdom and strategy in overcoming even the most daunting challenges. Her interventions complemented Odysseus' own efforts, showing that victory often requires both human ingenuity and divine favor. Together, they proved that even in a world ruled by capricious gods, perseverance and intelligence could prevail. As Odysseus prepared to face the final steps of his journey, Athena's presence remained a reassuring constant. Her role in his victory was not just about aiding him in battle, it was about helping him restore balance to his life and his kingdom. With her guidance, Odysseus was not just a hero who survived the wrath of Poseidon, he was a leader who reclaimed his destiny. And so, as the echoes of battle faded and the palace began to heal, it was clear that Athena's influence had been as vital as Odysseus' own strength. Together, they had turned the tide, proving that even in the face of divine wrath, the combination of human resilience and divine wisdom could achieve the impossible. With the battle behind him and his home restored, Odysseus turned his attention to the final task that would bring his long journey to a close, the appeasement of Poseidon. Guided by the prophecy of Tyreus, the blind seer he had encountered in the underworld, Odysseus knew that his trials would not truly end until he made amends with the god of the sea. The prophecy had been clear. To earn Poseidon's forgiveness, Odysseus would need to undertake a journey far from the sea, carrying an oar so unfamiliar to the people there that they would mistake it for a winnowing fan. Only then, by making a sacrifice to Poseidon in this distant land, could he finally find peace. This journey was not just a physical undertaking, but a symbolic one. The oar, a tool of the sea, represented Odysseus' connection to Poseidon's domain and the source of his suffering. By carrying it inland, Odysseus was symbolically distancing himself from the sea and the wrath it had brought upon him. It was an act of humility, acknowledging the power of the gods and the consequences of defying them. When Odysseus reached the place where the ore was no longer recognized, he planted it in the ground and made the sacrifice as Tyreus had instructed. This act was more than a ritual, it was a gesture of reconciliation. By offering a sacrifice to Poseidon, Odysseus was not only seeking forgiveness, but also demonstrating his respect for the god's authority. It was a moment of profound significance, marking the end of his long struggle against the sea and the beginning of a new chapter in his life. The sacrifice also symbolized Odysseus' growth as a character. Throughout his journey, he had been defined by his cleverness and resourcefulness, but this act showed a deeper understanding of his place in the world. He had learned that even the greatest heroes must bow to the will of the gods. This humility, born of years of hardship, was key to his ultimate success. Poseidon's acceptance of the sacrifice brought closure to the conflict that had shaped Odysseus' life for so long. It was a reminder that even the most powerful gods could be appeased through acts of reverence and humility. For Odysseus, this moment was not just the end of his trials, but the fulfillment of his destiny. As the smoke from the sacrifice rose into the sky, Odysseus could finally feel the weight of Poseidon's wrath lifting. The sea, once a source of endless torment, was now just a part of the world he had learned to navigate. With this final act, Odysseus had not only appeased Poseidon, but also reclaimed his place as a hero who had endured the unimaginable and emerged wiser for it. And so, with the gods at last satisfied, Odysseus could turn his attention to the life he had fought so hard to reclaim, life of peace, love, and the quiet strength of a man who had faced the storms of fate and emerged victorious. Now, as we delve deeper into the symbolism of Odysseus' sacrifice, we uncover layers of meaning that go beyond the surface. This act was not merely a ritual to appease Poseidon. It was a profound statement about Odysseus' transformation as a man and a hero. The oar, once a tool of his survival and a symbol of his defiance, became an instrument of reconciliation. By carrying it inland, Odysseus was not just leaving the sea behind. He was leaving behind the pride and arrogance that had defined much of his journey. This was a man who had once taunted Polyphemus, boasting of his cleverness, but now he stood humbled, acknowledging the power of the gods. The sacrifice itself was a powerful gesture of respect and submission. In Greek mythology, offerings to the gods were not just about appeasement. They were about restoring harmony between mortals and the divine. Odysseus' act of planting the oar and making the sacrifice was a way of saying, "I recognize your power and I submit to your will." This was a crucial step in mending the broken relationship between Odysseus and Poseidon. It was also a moment of personal growth for Odysseus, who had spent years relying on his wits and strength to overcome obstacles. Here, he showed that he had learned the value of humility and the importance of honoring forces greater than himself. This act of sacrifice also symbolized the restoration of balance, not just for Odysseus, but for the world around him. The sea, which had been a source of chaos and suffering, was now at peace. Poseidon's acceptance of the sacrifice marked the end of a cycle of vengeance and the beginning of a new order. For Odysseus, this balance was both external and internal. Externally, it meant the end of his trials and the chance to reclaim his life in Ithaca. Internally, it represented the harmony he had found within himself, a man who had faced the worst the gods could throw at him and emerged wiser, stronger, and more humble. The deeper meaning of this sacrifice lies in its universality. It reminds us that even the greatest heroes must confront their flaws and seek reconciliation with the forces that shape their lives. Odysseus' journey was not just about physical survival, it was about spiritual growth. By making this sacrifice, he showed that true heroism is not just about strength or cleverness. It's about understanding one's place in the world and striving to live in harmony with it. This act of humility and reverence was the key to his ultimate victory, not just over Poseidon, but over the pride and hubris that had once defined him. As we reflect on this pivotal moment, we see how Odysseus' sacrifice was more than an end to his suffering. It was a beginning. It marked the start of a new chapter, not just for him, but for the world he had fought so hard to return to. With the gods appeased and balance restored, Odysseus could finally step into the role he had always been destined for, not just a hero, but a man who had learned the true meaning of wisdom and humility. And so, his story becomes a timeless reminder of the power of transformation and the importance of seeking harmony, both within ourselves and with the world around us. With the sacrifice made and the oar planted, the tides of Poseidon's anger began to turn. The sea god, known for his tempestuous nature and unyielding vengeance, finally saw in Odysseus a man who had learned the lessons of humility and respect. Poseidon's acceptance of the sacrifice was not just a moment of divine mercy, it was a testament to the power of reconciliation and the possibility of forgiveness, even from the most formidable of gods. For Poseidon, this act was more than a ritual, it was a recognition of Odysseus' transformation. The once defiant hero, who had mocked the gods and relied solely on his cunning, now stood before the divine as a man who understood the weight of his actions. By offering the oar and making the sacrifice, Odysseus acknowledged Poseidon's dominion over the seas and the consequences of his past hubris. This act of submission was enough to satisfy the sea god's wounded pride, bringing an end to the cycle of retribution that had plagued Odysseus for so long. The acceptance of the sacrifice also highlighted a deeper theme in Greek mythology, the balance between divine justice and mortal accountability. Poseidon's wrath had been a form of divine justice, punishing Odysseus for his arrogance and disrespect. But his acceptance of the sacrifice showed that even the gods could be moved by acts of genuine repentance and humility. This balance between justice and mercy is a recurring theme in Greek myths, reminding us that the gods, while powerful and often harsh, are not without a sense of fairness. For Odysseus, Poseidon's acceptance marked the end of his long and arduous journey. The storms that had once threatened to destroy him were now stilled, and the seas that had been his greatest adversary became a path to peace. This moment was not just a victory over Poseidon's wrath, it was a victory over the pride and defiance that had once defined Odysseus. He had learned that true strength lies not in defiance, but in understanding one's place in the grand order of the world. The themes of forgiveness and divine justice resonate deeply in this moment. Poseidon's acceptance of the sacrifice reminds us that even the most powerful forces can be swayed by acts of humility and respect. It also underscores the idea that justice, when tempered with mercy, can lead to reconciliation and renewal. For Odysseus, this was the final step in his journey, a journey that had tested his body, mind, and spirit, but ultimately led him to a place of peace and understanding. As the waves calmed and the skies cleared, Odysseus could finally return to Ithaca, not just as a hero, but as a man who had earned the favor of the gods through his growth and humility. Poseidon's acceptance was not just an end to his wrath, it was a new beginning for Odysseus, a chance to live in harmony with the world and the divine forces that shaped it. And so, his story becomes a timeless lesson in the power of transformation, the importance of humility, and the enduring possibility of forgiveness. Odysseus' journey stands as one of the most enduring tales in Greek mythology, a story that transcends time to offer profound lessons about the human experience. His appeasement of Poseidon was not just the resolution of a divine conflict, it was the culmination of a transformative journey that reshaped Odysseus from a cunning but prideful hero into a figure of humility and wisdom. This final act of reconciliation with the sea god cemented his legacy as a symbol of resilience, adaptability, and the power of personal growth. At its core, Odysseus' story is a testament to the strength of the human spirit. His journey home was fraught with unimaginable challenges, storms, monsters, and the wrath of gods, yet he persevered. His resilience in the face of adversity reminds us that even the most daunting obstacles can be overcome with determination and ingenuity. But more than that, his story teaches us that true strength lies not in defiance or brute force, but in the ability to adapt, learn, and grow. Odysseus' transformation from a man who relied on his wits to outsmart the gods to one who humbly acknowledged their power is a powerful reminder of the importance of humility in the face of forces greater than ourselves. The lessons of Odysseus' journey extend far beyond the realm of myth. His story speaks to the universal human condition, exploring themes of perseverance, accountability, and the search for meaning. Odysseus' trials were not just physical, they were also moral and emotional, forcing him to confront his own flaws and limitations. His eventual humility before Poseidon was not a sign of weakness, but a recognition of his place in the grand order of the world. This act of humility, coupled with his unwavering resilience, offers a timeless lesson that true heroism is not about conquering others, but about mastering oneself. Odysseus' legacy also highlights the delicate balance between human ambition and divine will. His journey underscores the idea that while mortals may strive for greatness, they must also respect the boundaries set by the gods. Poseidon's wrath was a reminder of the consequences of hubris, while his eventual acceptance of Odysseus' sacrifice showed that even the most powerful forces can be moved by acts of genuine repentance. This interplay between human agency and divine influence is a recurring theme in Greek mythology, offering a nuanced perspective on the relationship between mortals and the divine. Ultimately, Odysseus' story is one of redemption and renewal. His appeasement of Poseidon marked the end of a long and arduous journey, but it also signaled a new beginning, a chance to live in harmony with the world and the forces that shape it. His legacy endures not just as a tale of adventure, but as a profound exploration of the human condition. Through his trials and triumphs, Odysseus teaches us the value of resilience, the importance of humility, and the enduring possibility of transformation. His story remains a timeless reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, the human spirit has the power to endure, adapt, and ultimately find peace. As we reflect on Odysseus' epic journey, it's clear that his story is far more than a myth. It's a timeless exploration of human resilience, humility, and the pursuit of redemption. From the blinding of Polyphemus to the storms sent by Poseidon, Odysseus faced trials that tested not only his strength, but also his character. His eventual appeasement of the sea god through sacrifice and humility marked the end of a long and arduous path, but it also revealed the profound truth that even the greatest of heroes must learn to respect forces beyond their control. Odysseus' transformation from a prideful warrior to a wise and humble leader reminds us that growth often comes through struggle, and that true victory lies in understanding our place in the world. The lessons of Odysseus' journey resonate deeply even today. His story challenges us to consider our own responses to adversity. Do we resist change, or do we adapt and grow? Do we let pride dictate our actions, or do we embrace humility as a path to reconciliation? Odysseus' ultimate success in appeasing Poseidon wasn't just about ending a divine feud. It was about finding balance between ambition and respect, between human will and the natural order. His legacy invites us to reflect on our own lives and the ways we navigate the storms we face. So, what can we take away from this ancient tale? Perhaps it's the reminder that no matter how insurmountable the challenges may seem, perseverance and humility can guide us toward resolution. Or maybe it's the idea that true strength isn't about overpowering others, but about understanding and adapting to the world around us. Odysseus' story is a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit, and it leaves us with a question to ponder. In our own lives, how can we channel the lessons of Odysseus to overcome our obstacles and find peace? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more deep dives into the myths that shape our world.